right. I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody. Please unmute yourself if you've got anything to pop up with. Hey, Ruth. Um, as we get going here, I don't have specific plans for props, but if you have a hard time grabbing your foot behind you like this, we're only gonna do it like once or twice where you'll really need that. So if you have a strap or something that's gonna make that easy for you, or if you just decide, whatever, I don't care, I'm gonna fake it, that's all good. So I planned practice in the physical aspect today, which is to do a lot of front of the thigh opening and a lot of like heart opening as we work towards some of our more peak shapes. And I was thinking about, like, okay, what am I going to talk about if I'm talking about heart opening or belly flopping? And I was reminded of a quote that I loved by Ernest Holmes, and he was a writer, philosopher, kind of religious, spiritual sort of person in the last century. And he said something I love. Everything in life responds to the song of the heart. And there's so many ways that might resonate with you. For me, one of the first things that really connected was how musical artists can become so like pivotal to our existence. When I came across the quote, it was back in like 2016 or 17, where it seemed like all of these like pivotal musical artists were leaving this world, and we were having a lot of collective grief over these people who had really touched our lives that were no longer around. And I was asking myself, why are we so touched by these people and the art that they've put out? And the answer that I've arrived at is that these folks really dug inside of themselves and shared their heart with us. They shared their truth with us. And when you get that deep, and when you get that raw, it really does connect with people. That's what we really start to identify with and share and appreciate. And in yoga, this really speaks to our truth, which is satya. And it also speaks to saucha and purity, just to be able to be very fully, simply, and deeply invested in what is most true in our hearts. So that may be a nice inspiration thought for practice today. Go ahead, let's begin. Let's get started with our face brushing. Index finger and thumb together, starting at the center of your forehead and brushing outwards towards the temples. And then from the sides of the nose out to the temples on the cheekbones. Temples to chin along the jawline. And nose to chin along the laugh lines. And fingertips behind the ears, giving that little massage to the soft spot, and then working upwards towards the bony spot, and then lifting upwards from that bony spot. I feel as I lift up from that place right behind the ears, it's kind of like when you lift something out of water and the water just starts to trickle and drip down from it. It's like I'm lifting my head up from all of the tension of the rest of how my day's been. Not that it's necessarily tense, but you know. And then after you've felt that tension drip off like water, rest your hands in your lap. Just place them in a way that is comfortable to you, that is intuitive. As you relax your collarbones open, letting your heart spread out a bit more. Notice if you placed your palms up or down. I find often it is fairly telling as to whether I'm really feeling the need to open myself up more with the palms facing up, or if maybe today's more of an introspective, self-examining sort of day, in which case often the palms will feel more comfortable facing down. course, at any time, what you might observe about any of these suggestions is that it sounds like I'm speaking a whole bunch of nonsense, in which case you just let that go and focus on your breath. And take a big breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. And again, like that. For 3 ohms. Coming onto your hands and knees, we're going to come into heart melting shape or puppy dog pose. So if you need to put something underneath your knees to cushion them, please do. And then you'll find yourself hips above knees. You need to make your knees just a tiny bit wider than your hips. That might help for tight hips if you're still feeling kind of fresh and creaky in the body today. And then let your hands walk out. Try to rest your forehead down. Now, if this is too tender in your shoulders, I want you to bring your elbows in so you can rest, or your hands in so you can rest your head on your forearms, but still let your heart melt downwards towards the floor. So you can bring the arms in if it feels better, but if you can, reach those arms out, let your tailbone roll up, and let your heart sort of just fall down towards the front of your ribs. Maybe your ribs also start to fall down a little bit more towards the floor. Just stay here 2 more breaths. Start to walk your hands back in towards you, so you come more into table pose. I'm going to slide the right leg back behind you and take a couple of rocks back and forth so that you're stretching out through your calf and working around the foot. And then we'll slide the right foot over to the left side. So you'll cross the body, take the right hand further forward and press that hand down as you push your right hip out and back. Just 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. And start to take that right leg back up. Bring your hand back in. And then send that left leg back behind you and give that little rock forward and back a few times. Just a gentle shift. Still breathing nice and steady, even if your breath doesn't totally match this movement. And then slide the left foot over towards the right. The left hand goes forward, at least a handprint. You want some space. So as you push down into that hand, you feel the upper side body opening up. As you push that left hip out, you feel that lower side body opening up. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. And bring your left leg in. Bring your left hand back in. We're going to curl the toes under and then start to press the hips back towards your heels. You can leave your hands on the ground. If you can, walk your hands a little bit closer to your knees. You don't need to. We're going to think of opening up the bottoms of your feet just as much as all the heart opening we'll be working towards in the rest of practice. Take 1 more big breath in. Exhale, big sigh. Come forward. A little drum roll onto the tops of your toes. And then we'll start to come down onto our backs. So unwind your legs, Come down. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug and rock around. Feeling a little massage to the back. Just letting your body greet the earth in this different way. Or greet the carpet, whatever you got going on. I do like the idea of like when we can do yoga outside and really like meet the earth, but it's so impractical. Weather and flooring type depending. And then go ahead and set your feet down. And then take your arms up. Lift them above your face. You're going to interlace your fingers and then flip the palms so that they face up towards the ceiling and leave your elbows a little bit bent. So you can try to wrap your elbows forward again, right? Because sometimes like the elbows creep up and then your shoulders creep up. So you want to try to wrap the elbows a little bit forward. Take a big breath in. Draw your belly in. Exhale. Push the hands closer towards the ceiling, even though they probably won't move much. Do that one more time. Take a big breath in. Exhale, belly in, hands press upwards. Now as you inhale, you reach those hands towards the wall behind you and not to the floor. They're probably going to be nowhere near the floor. Exhale, bring the hands back up above your face. And do that a couple more times. Inhale, reach the hands back to the wall. Exhale, back up above your face. And then 3 more on your own breath. Think of how much you can get the hands back rather than how close you can get them towards the floor. I want to think long rather than dropping to the floor. Just one more time. And take the hands up. Release your fingers. Shake that a little bit. And then you're going to take your left leg, or you can take your right one. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the left because you can see me slide my foot underneath my right leg here. So that this little cavern. Just kind of slide the foot underneath it. Now, if you can reach your foot with your hand, great. Can't reach it, you're going to use your ankle to catch the foot, right? Just to kind of keep it in place. And then we want to try to get the left knee down. For most of us, this is going to look like rolling over to the left hip a little bit, just to allow that, because you don't want the knee floating up in space. That's where things are a little bit more precarious and it's not as protected. So try to get that knee down. Now, over time, as we're here, you might start resting both hips down towards the floor. You should be feeling a good stretch on the front of your left thigh. And if you want to get a little bit more side body stretch, you're going to take your left arm back behind your head. You can even hold on to your elbow and then maybe kind of wiggle your head and your arm over towards the right a little bit more. Big breath in. Big breath out. One more time, big breath in. Soften something as you exhale. Then you're going to release your left arm if you had it wound up. You're going to release the left leg and start to slide that right leg under. So as you take the foot in between that little cavern you've got in your left leg, you might use the ankle to hold the foot, or you might use your hand. You can roll over towards the right hip if that's going to help to bring that knee down. And then over time, you'll start rolling your body back like it's just going to lay down easy on the floor again. You might take your right arm up and behind your head. Just with some time, allowing things to unwind here. Speak. Take another big breath in. Soften something as you exhale. And then you're going to release your right arm and your right leg and come back onto your back. Just go ahead and let the soles of the feet plant down, the knees face up. We're going to move from here into bridge pose. You to move your face out of my face, please. Thank you. With your heels up, my mouth. your heels up nice and close to your hips. You're going to take your arms down, wiggle your shoulder blades underneath your heart, and keep your hips on the ground for a moment. Just try to push your arm bones down and feel your heart floating up towards the front of your ribs. So some slightly more subtle shift, but still feeling some opening there. And then we're going to start pushing down into the feet as well. So now the hips lift up. You're going to wiggle the shoulder blades underneath the heart just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be your biggest bridge pose. We're going to do 3. So maybe you can just use this first one to kind of warm up the underbutt by pushing into your feet. Feel your heart float upwards. And then on your next exhale, you're going to relax your shoulders and return your hips down. And just take a beat here, letting your body rest a bit. You might go a little bit deeper in the next one or the last one. Let's go up into bridge pose 2 of 3. A little wiggle of the shoulders again. You can always hold hands under your back or touch your fingertips to the sides of your thighs as a guide. That's also a good way to make sure that your knees aren't sliding outwards. You want them to face directly forward. See if maybe your heart can float up a little bit more. And then relax your shoulders and gently return your hips down towards the mat. We'll go up another time, and it's okay if your hips don't get super high. Let's really try to push this heart outwards into the front of the ribs. So get in as much of a back bend as feels good to you, which might not be a ton of a back bend. You find out what feels good and reasonable in your own body and in your own heart. Strong in all 4 corners of the feet. Take a big breath in. And then relax your shoulders. Let's return back down to the mat. Go ahead and let the hips settle. Wiggle your feet a little bit further away from your torso. So a little bit wider and just a little bit further away from your hips. Take your arms, open them outwards, maybe like a Y shape or a soft field goal post kind of situation. We're just going to take a little leisurely twist side to side, just relaxing the knees over to the right. And after a little pause, relaxing them over towards the left. And keep going a few more times. You can pause as long as you like. And be a little bit more fluid in your movement. Maybe you need to take some time now to even yourself out. Please do that. And after the last time or the last amount of time that you want to spend with the knees over towards the left, come back to the center. And bring the knees into the chest. Back yourself up to the seat. And then we're going to come back onto our knees. Just quick poses, not long. We're just going to take one lunge down here. So you might pad yourself up again. And you're going to take your hands onto your front thigh. You're going to take that right foot forward. We're going to wiggle your right foot a little bit forward. Push down on the front foot and let your heart reach forward. You can keep your hands on your thighs, or a little bit more intense, take your hands to your hips. And especially if you've got your hands at your hips, you can really feel the difference as you try to lift your rib cage up and away from your hips. And want your hips to be going forward too. One more big breath in. And exhale, start to relax. You can take the hands down. Bring your right leg down. Bring it back next to your left. And then we'll take the left foot. You're going to start bringing it forward by your left hand. We'll take that on the other side. Hands come up onto your front thigh. The hips rest forward. You want to wiggle this foot just a little bit further forward. So you really stretch open the front of this thigh. You can leave your hands on your front thigh or your hands at your hip. Really push that front foot down. Let your heart go forward and your rib cage lift upwards. Good. Big breath in. Big breath out. You're going to start to take your hands down. Slide that left leg back. We're going to come all the way down onto our bellies. Go ahead and rest yourself down there. Make a pillow for your head with your hands. Widen your legs up so you can wiggle your hips about a bit side to side. Relaxing the lower back. And slide your right arm out to the right with the palm facing down. Slide your left hand up by your shoulder. Look to the left and roll your left leg back behind you. You can leave that leg on the floor. You can bend it and be a little bit more relaxed about this. You can reach those toes outwards if that feels good to you. I think breathing a lot of space, a lot of softness into the front of your right shoulder, into the right side of your chest. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then rolling over onto your belly again, and then sliding your left hand out to the left. Your right hand comes in by the shoulder, and you'll roll your right leg back. It's a twist still, so still finding that softness in the belly. Breathing space into the front of the left shoulder, the front of the left side of the chest. One more breath in. One more breath out. And coming over onto your belly. Laying down, reaching your legs back behind you, or I'm sorry, arms back behind you. Your legs are behind you. And then interlacing the hands or reaching them out if that feels better. We're going to come up into Shalabhasana, reach the knuckles back and the heart forward. Maybe lift your legs. Take a big breath in. Soften your chest, exhale. You might have felt more space. Now inhale, feel your heart reach forward. And exhale, lower it down. Make a pillow for your head, rest a cheek or a chin. Maybe again, feeling that wiggle side to side in your pelvis. I'm going to come back into puppy dog again. After puppy dog, we'll go down dog. After down dog, we'll go standing. So just knowing if you need to make some adjustments about those shapes. You could even do like 2 down dogs if you wanted to be a little bit stronger in the arms and spend less time on the knees. And puppy, our heart mounting shape. Really let that heart fall downwards towards the floor and the tailbone to float upwards away from the floor. Maybe you can even wiggle your fingertips a little bit further out in front of you, since this is our second time in this shape today. One more breath in. Big breath out. And then start walking your hands back. I'm going to set up for a downward dog. Give a quick shake of your fingers and flick water out just to make sure that the hands are ready to help support you. Spreading the fingers out, push the floor away. Let's go into downward facing dog. We'll be working up to standing soon. If you can hang out here for 2 more breaths, make sure you're strong from the armpits to the hands, relaxed in the heels. Big breath in. Big loud sigh. And then feet towards hands, hands towards feet. Come into an easy fold. Just try to maybe bounce a little bit in the legs or shake your head out. And then start to come up to standing, taking your time to get there. When you get to standing, I'm going to widen the legs out and come into warrior 2, turning over towards the right side. Make sure the left toes turn into and then come out with the arms. Reaching your right knee out in the same direction as your toes. You want to keep that bend in the knee. And then take your palms and turn them upwards. Feeling this space in the heart. I find this more open gesture tends to be a little bit more relaxed in the heart space. See if you can keep that as you turn your palms back down. Or just notice how maybe it's different when you think about that. As you exhale, you reach forward with your right hand, and then take your elbow down and reach your left arm up and over. Try to take your bottom ribs and roll those forward so you're still open in the heart, and then release from your left shoulder blade out through those fingertips. You have a little bit more of that side body stretch. Your heart has a front and a back and sides, and a top and a bottom. It's multifaceted in many ways. Big breath in, ears away from the shoulders. Big breath out. Now draw your belly in, come back up to warrior two. From here, straighten the front leg. We'll take peaceful triangle, so straight legs. Bring your left hand to your hip, turn your heart towards the right fingertips and send those upwards. Really reaching your heart up towards your fingertips. Good. Big breath in. Exhale, return to warrior two. We're going to shift from warrior two to warrior one, so your back leg is going to hop out a little bit. So I have a little bit more of this square space towards the right toes, and then reach your arms up again. And just like peaceful warrior, can you reach your heart up towards your hands? Good. One more big breath in. And exhale, release the arms, straighten your legs. And then start to set up in warrior two towards the other side. So you need to adjust your feet so that they're in line. And then turning your left toes over, and then your right toes over, bend the left leg, send the arms out. And as you settle into warrior two and make all of those little shifts that you know help bring you into your best variation today of this shape that we're often very familiar with, yet sometimes there's always something new. Sometimes we find new things. Try turning the palms up, just notice the change. See if you can keep anything you like about the change as you turn the palms back down. Big breath in. And then as you breathe out, reach outwards and take your elbow down. Then the right arm comes up and over. And turn your bottom ribs forward so we're a little bit more open in the chest. And then we're going to release the side of the chest by sending that shoulder blade out into the fingertips. Releasing the shoulder blade from your spine, releasing your ears out from your spine. A little bit more of that like water droplets cascading away. Little droplets of tension or holding. Breathing in. Breathing out. Draw your belly in, come back up to warrior two. Then straighten your front leg. Right hand to your hip. Turn your heart towards your hand, giving yourself that extra cue that you want to be lifting your heart up towards those fingertips. Upwards and not back. Heart opening and expanding. Good. Big breath in. And exhale. Return the arms to a two-bird and bend into the front knee. From warrior two, find warrior one. Now we need to adjust the stance slightly. And then reach your arms up, and just like that peaceful triangle, your peaceful warrior, lifting your heart up towards your fingertips, making this offering, this lifting, this expanding. Big breath in. And exhale, release your arms, straighten your legs. We're going to turn all 10 toes to face forward. To still have very wide legs. You can keep your hands at your hips, drawing your elbows back, or interlace your fingers behind your back. I would recommend keeping the elbows bent so you can get a really good chest stretch without doing wonky things to the shoulders. Soft knees. And then take your body forward. Let your elbows draw back, expanding the front of the chest. Maybe wiggle your head around a little bit gently on the neck just to find some softness there. Big inhale. Big exhale. Draw your belly in. Come to stand up. Release your hands. And then bring your feet in closer. You're gonna take your right leg back behind your left leg. You're gonna take the right arm up, hold onto your right wrist, and find this side bend. You want to try to take your right hip forward and your left ribs forward. Because this one wants to send back and this one wants to send back. If you really want to square yourself up, it's the top hip comes forward, the bottom ribs come forward. Push onto that top hip. Reach out through that right arm, exhale. And then come on up. We're going to come into a fold, so you come forward just as much as is reasonable to you, pushing more into your big toes for more sensation, less into the big toes if you need to back it off. Draw your belly and try to bring your hands to your hips first, and then stand up, and then switching your legs. Just being crossed in the opposite direction. Reach up, hold that left arm. Come up and over into a side bend. Bottom ribs come forward, top hip comes forward, or rather that left hip comes forward. Excellent. Big breath in. Big breath out. And come back up. Coming forward into a fold, not a long one, just finding a little bit more space in that side body. Relaxing your head. Big inhale. Big exhale. Bringing your hands back in. Go ahead to your hips and lifting yourself up. And then unwind your legs. You're going to keep the legs together so the inner seams of your legs touch. And feel your inseams of your thighs lifting together and forward. You're going to move the weight a little bit more into your toes. Feel the inseams of your thighs lift up and forward. You can see my weight starts to shift forward. And then take your arms up, make Vira Mudra or steeple fingers. And then you're going to reach your heart up towards your fingertips. Really let your heart lift up and forward. So very front body opening. Nice and long too. Reach those fingertips all the way up to the ceiling. Take a big breath in. And exhale, soften. Come back to neutral. I'm going to take eagle pose, and then we're going to move into dancer's pose. So knowing that we've got these two balancing shapes, if you want to come anywhere near something that you might want to hold on to, and also this would be the space if you needed to grab a strap to hold on to your foot, you can do that, or you can hold a pant leg, you can fig it, it does not really matter, as we know. We're going to take, first, let's start with right leg over left. We'll go into eagle pose, go ahead and squeeze your legs back. We're going to take the opposite arm and wrap it on top of your left arm. You can hug if you like. I just want you to think about getting a long spine here. There's the one thing you would think about, aside from breathing, is to get your ears away from your tailbone and your tailbone away from your ears. Yeah. Big breath in. Breathing out. Unwind your arms, unwind your legs. Wiggle whatever needs wiggling, and then find the other side, crossing now the left leg on top. You can leave the toes down, you can lift them up if it works. You gotta bend the knees and squeeze the hips back. Opposite arm wraps on top. You can hug your shoulders instead of wrapping your feathers up. Big focus here is a long spine. Good. One more round of breath. Lift yourself up, unwind your arms, unwind your legs. We're going to start to move into dancer's pose. We want to try to stand up firmly above our standing leg, and then you're going to lift your inner thighs to stay even in the hips. And then you're going to reach back to hold the inside of your lifted leg. So I want to try to hold the big toe edge of the foot, and that's going to help the shoulder to open. My palm faces open. It's going to help those inner thighs to lift so you stay a little bit more balanced. And then with this open heart, I'm going to send the heart forward and kick the foot back slightly. And my goal here is not to like back bend into my foot. The goal here is to become open and expansive in the body. You can take the arm forward or hold on to the wall. Yeah. Heart goes forward, hip opens up, spine is lifted and long. And when you feel like you've had enough, you're probably right. Set that foot down. Give a little wiggle to whatever might need it. And you'll find the other side. I'll show from the front. I'm going to hold the hand facing outwards. Hold the inside of the foot. Try to keep these knees in line. I'm going to lift up taller. And then send the heart forward as I kick that foot back. Notice my knee stays in line. Just as if I was standing, my thighs are still in the same line. I'm not standing that way. Expansive, big breath. Inhaling and softening. Taking the limbs down. Give yourself a little wiggle. One more standing shape before we work our way back down into the floor. We're going to come into our goddess squat or our Buddha squat, finding again that abundant joy, big, fat, happy Buddha kind of place. And here, just think of your upper butt relaxing down. Yeah, so just that extra cue to release that lower back, palms open, easy in the heart, even like a little Buddha chuckle, like ha. I get to sit down. Big breath in, big breath out. And then come on up so that you can take it right on down. We're going to go into a seat. You'll take the soles of your feet together. You can sit up on something if that's beneficial to you. Please do so. If you're down here on your own bum, probably scooch the bum out of the way. And then feet down. Hold on to your ankles or your feet, whatever's more accessible. Take that nice long, easy spine up and over, heart moving in the direction of your feet. And for the vast majority of human beings, getting nowhere near the feet, and it never needed to be in the first place. Making soft and spacious in that lower back. Big breath in. Big breath out. Starting to come up. I'm going to take your right leg forward. However much your left leg is going to pull in is good. I'm going to actually go a little bit more in between your legs here. So I could go straight forward. I'm going to go a little bit more in between. A lot of softness you're trying to feel in the the left hip socket. Start walking your hands back up. You're going to turn your left knee to face upwards. You can leave it here or you can cross it over that extended leg. Lift those toes on that extended leg. It's going to help to cue or allow you to continue keeping your spine lifted. We're going to hug onto this thigh. Push this left arm in nice and close to the hips. Get up tall from the backs of the ears and then soften your belly as you twist. One more breath in. Big breath out. And relax your twist. We're going to keep going over to, or actually take a quick counter twist. Just look over towards the right. And then come out of it. We're going to keep going over towards the left. You're going to uncross your legs. We're just going to lay down on this hip. Slide this leg back. And I'm going to lay my chest down. So it's like I'm just laying flat down, but then the left leg just kind of creeped over. So it's a little more twisty than anything. Resting down, making a pillow for your head with your arms. Doesn't really matter what the right leg is doing. One more round of breath. Then you're going to start to prop yourself up. And then come to having both feet in. Notice there's been a lot of work that's kind of happened on this deep hip space. We're now going to take the left leg forward, and then you're going to come into a fold a little bit more on the inside of this leg. So I'm not really worried about getting all the way over this leg. I just want to soften here, working a little bit more in this right hip. So can I just soften my right hip? And yes, this hamstring is stretching, but a lot of this hip. Big breath in, big breath out. And then start to walk yourself back in. We're going to turn this knee to face up, leave it here, or cross it over. Do lift your left toes, helping to cue the spine to stay up nice and tall. Right hand in close, left arm hugs. Inhale, get taller, and exhale, soften the belly into this twist. One more breath in. Big breath out. Relax that twist. Little counter twist, just turning over towards the left side so I don't leave you super lopsided. And then we're going to come into this prone twist. So I'm going to like kind of lay face down. I'm just kind of come in and rest. And you're all the way over on that right hip here. The left leg is just back in a fairly arbitrary sort of manner. As much of your chest as you can roll down in the direction of the floor. Good. As much as is happening, it's fine. It doesn't need to be any more than what it is. Soften your belly. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then start to lift yourself back up. And send that right leg out in front of you. This time you're going to cross the right leg over. And you can have your ankle on top of your knee if this is as much rotation as is going to happen for you. You can have your ankle down there if this is the degree of rotation you've got going on. Great. You might try to push it a little bit more depending on what your body's okay with. This is good. That's also good. This also might mean that you slide your foot up closer towards your hips. See how now my knees are more or less stacked and I'm resting on the pinky toe side of the foot, maybe giving a little bit of that extra hip wiggle. Yeah. And then just hold on to your knee and let your heart reach forward towards your extended toes. Or you're holding onto your shin or both shins. It's a lot of this hip and then the underside of this thigh. Big breath in. Breathing out. And coming on up. Unwind and extend that left leg and then take that right leg up. So you're going to cross the ankle over the knee or the ankle down closer to the shin, or you're going to keep sliding this foot up closer to the hip, probably some wiggling and moving of flesh here. And then on the pinky toe edge of the foot, gather yourself up on this leg somewhere and then lift your heart up and over those legs. 2 more breaths. Start to lift yourself up. Unwind the legs. And start to roll over onto your belly. Make a pillow for your head with your hands. Rest your cheek or your chin, or forehead. I'm going to take one more back bend here. You're either going to take a free flying Shalabhasana with arms and legs extended back, or you can come as we may into bow pose where you'll grab the feet with your hands, or you can have your arms and your legs reaching up, kind of like you're grabbing, but you're not grabbing. You're not worried about it too much. You can use a strap if you'd like, but it's not the most necessary thing. Let's all go ahead and reach our legs back to either in Shalabhasana, bent almost bow, or hands on the feet for bow. And just nice and easy, push the feet into the hands, giving the chest some space, reaching the heart forward, reaching your legs back, opening up at the collarbones. All of these shapes are doing that, yes? Reaching the legs back, heart forward, arm bones open away from the heart. One more breath in. And then release it. Make a pillow for your head again. And then wiggle your heels gently side to side, softly, slowly, massaging and releasing the back. And then you'll come onto your back. Let's go ahead and roll yourself over. When you get onto your back, bring your knees up, cross your ankles, reach outside of the legs to hold your shins or your knees or whatever in between seems better to you. Rock around a little bit if that sounds good to you. One more round of breath. And then just switch the cross of your ankles. Take one more breath in. Soften as you exhale. And then release the shape so that the soles of your feet come down. And then leaving the feet down, maybe the feet are about hip width or so apart. You're going to take your arms and reach them open and back in a way that is comfortable to you. Maybe you take your hands behind your head and wiggle your shoulders in a little bit more, just a little bit more of a heart open shape here, a little bit different, dropping the elbows towards the floor or gently pressing the elbows towards the floor. And then both of your knees are going to roll over towards the right. Probably the left knee won't come down very much, but maybe the left knee reaches away from you a little bit as your shoulders push down and your heart floats up. One more breath. And then coming back to the center and finding a twist on the other side, just rolling those knees over. Maybe you reach that right knee away from you a bit more. Feeling the heart float upwards. Finish your exhale, and then bring the legs back to the center. Unwind your arms from behind your head, reach them back, slide your legs up in front of you, coming into a really long shape. Maybe you even hold and clasp your fingers and pull them away as you extend your toes away from you. Take a big breath in, soften as you exhale. Again, big breath in. Soften as you exhale. And then start to tuck those knees in towards the chest again. Holding the knees, giving some circles around with them. And going in the other direction. And coming into another twist, opening the arms, letting the knees maybe a little bit closer towards the body this time. So we really give some space around that lower back, looking up or over towards the left, softening the belly. Checking in with any points of tension and then letting the tension drip away. One more breath. And then moving the knees over to the other side. Finding a similar feeling shape, looking up or over towards the right, allowing the belly to soften with every exhale. One more full round of breath. And then start to move yourself back to the center. Wheeling your arms down a little bit closer by your sides. A little wiggle of the shoulder blades gently underneath your heart if that helps feel more open and pleasant way in the heart. Your legs stay bent or extend out. You could, of course, choose any other variation of this final rest, maybe a seated meditation instead. And settle in. as you start to take some deeper breaths. Feeling again this expansiveness in your heart space. Maybe noticing that rhythm, the song of your heartbeat. And when you're ready, rolling yourself over to one side, turning inwards in a moment of gratitude for your practice, being able to gather together across these distances. Finding when you're ready your own version of a comfortable seat. With your hands at your beautiful open hearts. We'll seal our practice releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and the light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Good week.
Yes.
Good to see you all.
Stay out of trouble.
Or not.
Yeah, we're not.
Good.
See you later, alligators.
Bye.
Okie dokie.